Howdy, gang. Back at you again. Um, I wanted to get this out and stuff before I started my home projects here. As you guys can probably tell, I'm still kind of in my morning loungewear at the moment. But I want to say that I understand if people go over to Sean's page and they start watching these videos and they cannot understand, or they think that he's maybe went off the deep end and went crazy. But when Sean talks, I personally see one of my very own friends when he speaks. I have I've dealt with this friend when they have been into the alcohol, and you know it. And just watching Sean talk is just it really hits close to home because I personally know somebody that is like Sean. So this I understand. So I'm going to try to alliterate on some of his message. Okay. Sean and his wife Jenny were experiencing troubles coming stemming from Jenny's ex-boyfriend or husband, whichever he might be. Um, and this guy is, well, as what is told to me, is extremely wealthy. Um, I've looked into the fella. He goes around hooking up speakers for fucking concerts. He's a sound guy or head rigger or whatever the hell they want to call him. So he's making money. Well, I do believe now. I The way I understood it is now this individual he resides in Zanesville, Ohio. That's about, oh man, I want to say like 2.5 hour drive from where I'm at. Maybe three at the most. Maybe not, maybe two. But, you know. Now, Sean, where his residence was located, it's not even but 20 minutes from here. He actually lived even closer to a friend of mine that I'm pretty sure I know for a fact, has lots of firearms and discharges them on a regular. So gunshots in this neighborhood were not an uncommon occurrence. So they were experiencing a lot of harassment from Sean's wife's ex, whether this be ex boyfriend, ex husband, whatever. Well, before all these incidents started, and they claim it was a call from a neighbor. Um, I'm going to try to dig in and question the police departments on the release of the recording of that phone call. I would be very interested in the hearing that. So I'm going to see what I could do there. But Jenny's ex, both Sean and Jenny, reported to friends that they have witnessed this individual driving past their home. This was only a few days before this whole mess started on July 4th, and then from July 4th on, it led up to what happened on August 4th. So, from Sean's videos, he had emails. I will try to see if I cannot get those and read through those and see what kind of information he was sitting on. I can't guarantee anything, people. This was Sean's private information, and I would be totally reliant on his friends and family to provide me with those. So if I don't end up with them, don't burn me at the stake. Okay, I will try, but I cannot guarantee anything. But there was a lot of harassment coming from this individual that is Jenny's ex. Now, whether this 4th of July call was falsified or not, it was just bogus to begin with. And I also noticed that he in his videos he received a grass ticket, which I imagine maybe his grass was a little too tall. Now, if you're going to come out in the country and tell somebody that their grass is too tall and need to cut it, you yourself as a law enforcement officer are just out picking fights at this point in time. You are not about upholding or protecting or serving or anything as such. You are only looking to pick a fight. So, now, many of you, if you did not go back and listen to the audio that Sean provided, now how Sean came in possession of this audio, which should have been body cam footage, but wasn't. It was audio that was choppy, and parts of it was inaudible, except for the two officers screaming at the young lady that sounded like she was crying in her car. Now, reports have it is that she was driving. They passed her the opposite direction. Now, here in Ohio, you do not put your tags on your front license plate. As a matter of fact, here in Ohio, we no longer need a front license plate. So if you're telling me, I know you fucking badge-toting swine out there are awful keen with your eyesights, or so you say. If you're driving past an individual who can look in your side mirror and tell that their tag was expired, then that's some hella detective work, if you ask me. But they passed Jenny going in the opposite direction, whipped their cruiser around, and she thought nothing of it, being 4 houses down. Well, they attempted to got beside her, cut her car off, and jumped out like they were, I don't know, after a very hard criminal, in which caused a meltdown through Jenny just screaming and sounded like she was crying. So then these officers, detain her. She is currently being detained. She has just been moved to a crisis center. And there's still nothing on the books for her as of last night. I have yet to have my wife dig into it today. Maybe I'll talk her into doing that while I'm doing my home projects today. But Sean's mother has reached out, and I will be putting a link to a Facebook video in my description. I'll repeat this. I will be putting a link to a Facebook video in my description. Now, this is from a radio show in Jacksonville, Florida, that Sean was asked to be on. So I asked everybody to go into the description and please watch this radio interview with him explaining him and a group of veterans was going back over to fight with the Kurds and help the Kurds fight ISIS and so on and so forth. In which you'll get all that. In which, if you read his about page on his YouTube here, he gives you a list of all the accomplishments throughout his career. So, I would not take any of this right here as a grain of salt, people. This guy was 100% legit. He was one rock solid dude. I'm not going, that's it. That's about the best way I could put this. So, with that being said, I would like to show a photograph that got sent to my wife. Now, if you have to pause the video and screenshot this and enlarge it, please do so. I'm actually going to throw my spectacles on. This is the front of his bluish gray A-frame house. Now, there was a comment about the cat. Clearly, the cat survived. 12 chickens, um, and the puppies. Two cats and a kitten. This is obviously one of the cats. Um, but here in the windows, I do believe this is a reflection from a tree. I do not think this is another hole in the window. This hole in the window here, I am willing to bet this is where law enforcement proceeded to shoot gas canisters into the house. Now, if you watch Sean's video, Sean tells you about them taking their armored vehicle and ramming it into his garage door. You know, I can sit here and I can almost take this video and what I've been showing, and I can go to a Waco documentary and I can show you firsthand the similarities. The gas used, probably. The tactics. Look at this. They smashed his fucking garage door. Not for entry. Now, if anybody was entering through this door, they were A, crawling on the floor, or they were only 4 foot tall and 25 pounds and squeezed through this crack over here. Listen, I am not a huge dude. I'm 150 pounds, about 5'10, 5'11, and I'm not squeezing through this. I'm a tall, skinny dude. I'm not squeezing through this without putting myself in danger. If that was the case and they were entering the home through this, they would be putting themselves at great bit of danger trying to enter the home through here. So, was this maybe a trying to repeat a tactic of poking holes through a building and then throwing incendiary gas devices into the home, hoping to start a fire? I don't know. I can't say yes or no to this. I don't know, but that is a fucking tactic they use, them sick bastards. But as you can see, they ram his garage door with their armored vehicle. Okay. Now, you think if you were trying... I noticed articles are now saying that a professional negotiator with this OASRT or whatever the fuck SWAT team name they put on themselves now, a professional negotiator. Now, when it was first aired and all this information was released to these media and press individuals, I'm going to fucking put all that in quotations too. They didn't say anything about a negotiator. They said an officer has pleaded with them. And this was a sheriff's officer in a press conference that released this, that the sheriff department was, an officer was pleading with Sean to come out the house and just pretty much, let them have their will with him, whatever that may have been at the time if he was surrendered. So my question is, why are you ramming your truck into his fucking house? You're taking an individual that had PTSD from being in a war zone. And what did you guys do? You guys put him right back into the war, didn't you? You fed on this, you disgusting bastards. And you used it to your advantage. Now, there's questions arising, about Sean and why and how this went down the way it did. I honestly cannot answer that. With the man's background, it should have turned out very differently, if you ask me. That is my belief. It should have turned out a hell of a lot different. But it didn't. So peeps, I am going to try to continue and pull as much information on this and expose everything I can, including the two scumbags who was behind the triggers that day. One is a Paul Webb Jr. of the Mansfield Police Department. I'll repeat his name, and I wish I could show you a photo of him, but I cannot because, oddly enough, you cannot find his photos. So, that is a Paul Webb Jr. That's two B's on Webb from the Mansfield Police Department. And then a Rod Roos from the Ontario Police Department. Now, both of these individuals, the claims in the media and press releases were that these were multi-decade individuals that, have quite a bit of experience in the field. So, that is a Rod Roos from the Ontario Police Department. Roose, spelled Roose. First name Rod. So, that's honestly all I have for you people. I hope I kind of cleared things up. Again, I implore you all to go back through Sean's videos and watch them. I understand that it's going to be very hard for a lot of you to even understand this. And I know there's a lot of ignorant motherfuckers out there that are just going to jump at the first fucking thing that comes to their mind, like, oh, this guy was, on drugs, or this guy was into the bottle, and which quite a few of them he was drinking, I could tell. Just from my personal friend that suffers from this. So, everybody stay armed, stay safe. Don't be a victim to these hired thugs. I hope you all have a good weekend. I'm going to stay up on this as much as possible and coming out with as much information as possible. And I ask everybody and anybody to share these videos, links for these videos. We need to get the word out ASAP. I'd like to hold optimism for there being justice brought for this. But oddly enough, this is how these individuals operate. And they'll do this blatantly in front of your faces, and as a show of disrespect that they put themselves above you. So, any new information that turns up, I will be passing that along as much as possible. So, there was something else I was going to say, and it slipped my mind. So, but this isn't going to be the only video I put out on this. So, you all have a good weekend. Stay armed, stay safe.